and before that, he also had a vibrant work experience at Nelly Tagatala. So he has a I mean good experience and catch in the field of research, especially in signal processing, IoT, and cyber security also. So he's going to discuss about ChatGPT and its importance and significance, and importantly, how this AI tool, AI-enabled tool, can be efficiently used in the field of research. I think this is going to be very interesting, and we are eager to hearing from you. Sir, welcome to you, and thank you very much for responding to us and accepting our invitation. The session is over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Pal. I hope I am audible to all.
Yes, yes, audible.
Okay, thank you so much. So, first of all, I would like to thank the workshop coordinators, Dr. Alak Rai and Dr. Jantap Pal from Tripura University for arranging such a workshop. And to the best of my knowledge, I believe it is the sixth version of this workshop. So they had been consistently working to help the research scholars of the university and its allied areas in the emerging technologies of IT and research. And I am really grateful to them for inviting me as a speaker to share this session with all of you. So, and I also thank Professor Pal for that warm introduction. So, having said that, let me directly start with the topic of the presentation, which essentially has to be Chat GPT, which is the buzz around right now, and how it can aid for academic research. So, with this thing, let us just first try to dig down upon and understand what basically is Chat GPT. So I would like to keep this session less of technical so that it covers all the participants here who are not much more inclined or have much more exposure to the domain of IT. So, to give a brief outline about ChatGPT, it is basically an advanced, language generation model which is developed by the organization called OpenAI. Of late, I think 1 or 2 days back, I had been hearing there are some buzzwords, there are some news about the CEO being fired by the board and some back informations that are going on. But eventually, that is not the concern that we are discussing here today. What basically is ChatGPT? So it's nothing but it's a chat bot, like something that we ask to a person and it replies in the form of some answers to us. Essentially, the reply that comes from ChatGPT has got much more prominence, and it behaves like that it comes from a human being kind of thing. So the importance or the capability of how ChatGPT is doing all those things is because of the large language model that has been trained to give near to human-like responses. So we find a lot of use cases nowadays with ChatGPT, like some of the areas where AI has intervened is the area where digital marketing or the news advertising agencies where ChatGPT could generate news articles given some less or few keywords given to it. So even in the area of creativity or some kind of areas where music also could be generated from these AI models. We will try to limit our discussion mostly to the areas where ChatGPT could be useful in the context of research, but we'll also try to find out how it could be utilized in the day-to-day basis affairs. So, having said that, let us move to the next slide. I hope the slide transition is visible to everyone. Can I get a reply from anyone?
Yes, visible. It is visible.
Thank you. In simple terms, what basically ChatGPT is? So, it's a product developed by the company called OpenAI, and it gives us some kind of responses which essentially appears to be from some kind of human being. The second thing is like why GPT is there. So it's some kind of generative pre-trained transformer. So we can think it of some kind of large language models, or it's a part of the LLM part where no the kind of model it has been trained with huge and enormous amount of data, and it could satisfy the user needs of a large section of peoples. Like what it could be used for, it could be used for answering questions, or like having conversations, providing informations, and of course like generating several kind of text. It could be in the area of art domain, rightly could be in area of research, or sometimes to generate some kind of vague ideas which could be translated into some kind of meaningful research domains. So we will try to see one such case study in this presentation. So I have divided this talk in some kind of breakdown areas where how ChatGPT could be used for the research community. And by way of saying the research community, I would not limit myself to the area of IT. So it could be like anyone who is searching for a new domain of research, and how chat GPT could come handy to it. So it goes by this area. I mean, if we can divide it in some kind of four areas, it will be it will be very easier for us to get go with the chat gpt tool. So the first thing is, whenever we try to start with any kind of research, we exactly don't know what are the precise areas where we need to go and search the domain. So at this point, what ChatGPT could do for us is it can brainstorm an idea for us. So we will see that how we can use ChatGPT to brainstorm an idea, and once the brainstorming of an idea is finalized, we fix a particular topic. We can elaborate. We can get much deeper into what that idea is, what that central idea is, and what are the related areas which needs to be known to further deepen the research on that particular idea. So now when the two steps, like we had brainstormed the idea, we are now in a position to identify our key idea from the several ideas that we had analyzed. We can also take help of chat gpt to suggest us the relevant research paper which satisfies the key idea. And finally, what we can do, so once we get the research papers, we can dive through the research papers, and we can find out what relevant areas or what relevant topics were discussed by the previous researchers, and we can start our own work on that idea. So, although I should give a caution here that ChatGPT can only aid researchers, there is no way that it could, substitute a manual hard work of a researcher. So that essentially is not ethical. At the same time, that is not possible by ChatGPT as well. And anybody and everybody who is trying to do so should refrain from doing so, because at the end you will end up finding that it does not match to the expectations that the reviewer of a journal or the conference reviewers accept. So it's better not to try chat gpt to replace the manual work that we do, but it could be used as a tool which helps us in doing effective research. Essentially the manual part, like the way that we spend most of the time finding out appropriate literature, or the time that we spent mostly to brainstorm an idea, portion could be speeded up to a great extent with the help of ChatGPT. And yeah, coming back to the presentation now. So once we find out the relevant research papers from the chat gpt, again that is also a thing that should be taken with a pinch of salt, that whatever relevant research papers are suggested by chat gpt could not be in any order of priority. So we can take them, but further understanding of the domain and experts would essentially end up finding out what may be much more relevant to the idea that we are working on. And finally, what comes handy to some of the budding researchers who are starting, who are in a position maybe who are starting to write research articles and are struggling to find out how to get through a basic outline of the research paper, they can get a basic outline of the research paper, and sometimes when we get the stencil it becomes easier for us to elaborate the concepts out there. So these are the four ideas that I would like to touch upon mostly. And apart from this, I will also try to find out what could be an alternate to ChatGPT that is there in the market right now. So to begin with, how in the next slide we'll try to see how we can brainstorm an idea with the help of ChatGPT. So yeah, brainstorming is an idea like where we had started an area of research, but we are not sure that what are the tools, technologies, or what are the areas which requires our attentions. So the chat gpt could be used in a way where it suggests us the appropriate subtopics which should be analyzed and which should be regarded to start our research. So it's an ability to generate some kind of human-like text based on some input that we make, and it could also do some kind of creative thinking and problem solving to a deeper extent. So for example, like uh, if we give some kind of text to the chat gpt, suggest emerging area of research in the area of video content analysis using deep learning. So let's say I am a budding researcher and I want to start some research in the area of video content analysis using deep learning. So I don't know where to start, and this could be one of the areas where I feel that ChatGPT could help me. So once such input is given to ChatGPT, the output, of course, this is what I have copied, happens to be half of the output that is there. Otherwise, it doesn't fit the script. But yeah, I would like to emphasis upon how chat gpt is trying to give us some related contents which are actually very promising and relevant to the topic that we are asking. So as an input to my query, which wants that video content analysis using deep learning, and we want to get some kind of starting point. So now the chat GPT has given some relevant suggestions that the video content analysis using deep learning is a continually evolving, and there are several emerging areas which researchers are actively exploring. So to touch upon, we can see that it has suggested some points as well as one sentence which explains that point, and there are altogether I remember around 10 points that ChatGPT has given us. So now, from a novice aspirant doing or aspiring to do some kind of research in the area of video content analysis using deep learning, finds that there are certain headings and what that heading means to be, with some kind of one-liner description of that term. So it could be something like temporal action localization. so which tries to find out, given a particular video, what kind of action is going on in the video, or something like, that UCF 101 data set, like in one of the videos some activity like swimming is going on, or in another video some activity like running is going on, whether something some deep learning technologies can differentiate between them. So similarly, there are other areas that ChatGPT has given us, that it could be something like spatio-temporal feature learning, cross-modal video analysis. So I'm not trying to emphasize more on the terms, but I'm certainly trying to say that how ChatGPT is going to give us some kind of relevant output, which happens to be in the area of the topic that we are trying to explore. So now when we find out that we know a term, and we get some area, some emerging area which are relevant to those terms, we can go through these sub areas of research, and we can finalize which key term or key idea is now our area of interest. For example, let's say out of the all relevant outputs that are being displayed to me, I try to choose cross-modal video analysis, so which basically tries to find out context from different modalities of a video. It could be something like text, audio, and visual, so that a more comprehensive understanding of video could be made. Like, so that's why it could be cross-modal video analysis. And now I want to find out what this key idea is, so that I try to learn more about this topic. So in the second step, a researcher can find out what that term is. So like, as I have said, once the brainstorming of ideas are done, so now we have to choose the key idea, and now let's try to get some more information about this. So now we are giving some kind of prompt to ChatGPT as what is cross-modal video analysis, and this happens to be portion of the output that comes out from ChatGPT. So now we see that it has given us a detailed information of how what that term is, and a considerable amount. This happens to be continuation of that term, and it tells us what that key idea is, what is composed of being a cross-modal video retrieval things, and where do we find application of this particular technology be. So now, with the help of ChatGPT, we not only get to find out a relevant and specific area of video content analysis, which is of course emerging, but we also find out, the relevant application, area of application, and where it could be used. So this gives us a bit more detailed information about the area of research that we plan to explore, and then we can now we are in a position to find out what the fellow researchers in the recent year have done in this area, what they have contributed in this area, what are the open-ended problems that are still there, or what are the areas where no there are scope for further improvement. So in this, I mean, if I could go back and try to summarize what from where we had started. So we started with an area called video content analysis. It could be any area that starts, and then we find out what are the emerging area of that particular domain. Then we land up to certain other term, which is known as cross-modal video analysis. And when we try to find out the key idea, we then try to ask ChatGPT to give us some relevant research papers in that key idea. So now we are in a position to to ask ChatGPT, or maybe we are in a position to ask ChatGPT to give us some relevant areas in the area in the domain of cross-modal video analysis. Now, most of the time when ChatGPT was not there, what a fellow researcher used to do. So this was the starting point of a researcher. So let's say we consider a situation like I think most of us of our ages or before used to start from this area, and when we used to start reading a research paper, it always used to be something like we don't understand what is going on, right? And it essentially has to be because a research paper has to be, there are ways how to read a research paper in an effective way, and of course one reading does not give that much effective result. But try to think of an area that before even landing to reach a research paper, if you have already done some kind of homework on that area, it definitely impacts the way you read a research paper in an effective way. So now when we have completed the prior two steps and get an idea of what we are looking for and what we are not looking for, it really saves a lot of our time in accepting and rejecting papers which are not relevant to our area of interest, right? So at this point, what we can say that chat gpt has enabled us with sufficient amount of knowledge with which we can start reading at least the relevant papers. So now we ask ChatGPT to give us some. At this point, we can also restrict ourselves to giving some, let's say, 10 research papers in terms of numeric values, or we could also say that it should be in the area of last five, papers which are published in the last recent 5 years. Because in research areas now it's very bad to go and read papers which are beyond 5 years, because those technologies are obsolete and most of the areas has been already worked upon. So that refinement of the duration could be done here, or the we can specify top 10 research papers, and then we can go around those papers to be our base paper, and then we can further dig our studies on other papers which are referred to by those papers, right? So let's say, considering this situation, when we ask chat gpt to suggest us some relevant research papers in the domain of cross modal video analysis, we get an output of something like this. So it says that as of my last knowledge update in January 2022, I'll come to it why it says like that. I can provide you some key papers that were relevant to the domain of cross-modal video analysis. So, and after this, it is saying that you have to go to the relevant journals, because it don't have access to that papers. You have to have your journal subscriptions to access those papers, but it generally gives us the name of the paper along with its authors, publishers, and the DOI. So, which is a good point for us to start from here. So again, this is, this happens to be a portion of the output. If I could correctly remember, there were around 12 papers which was suggested by ChatGPT. So at this point, we are now in a position where we can go deeper into those papers, read those papers, and then we can find out more areas where we need to dig upon, and there mostly chat gpt we can use some of the terms to identify more, or more areas where some more knowledge could be gathered. But essentially the whole idea of chat gpt for a researcher essentially ends here, to some extent, where we, from a novice researcher, we get to the starting point of the research for a particular idea that we had thought of. So now, once we get to know about our idea, from that idea we come down to a key idea and we get certain number of papers. The next thing that we can take help of chat gpt is how we can create a stencil or a basic outline for the research paper in the domain, in the domain that we are looking for. So to do this, what we shall be doing, we can ask ChatGPT, like, suggest me a basic outline for the research paper in the domain cross-modal video analysis. So what the output comes? So we can see that it has provided us the basic structure of a research paper, which essentially starts with introduction, background and literature, methodologies, what multimodal fusion techniques we have, what the application of cross-modal video analysis, results and declarations. It goes up to some 10 points where what are the challenges and future directions, conclusions, references and appendix if we are using some kinds of additional data sets, and a description, a limited description of what each section means and what those sections happens to be. So at this point what we can do, we can, if we are using Microsoft Word for editing or LaTeX for editing, we can create these sections and we can start writing our draft based on the literature review that we have done from the papers that we have gathered so far, and the problem statements that we have identified, and the research questions, and the methodologies how basically are going to solve the problem. So it definitely adds variety and adds to the existing research work by way of simplifying the overall structure. Of course, this is not that kind of rigid as you will find. You are free to adapt the outline, and if you feel that a specific portion or a specific point does not fit into your area of research or the flow of writing the paper, you are free to change that part, and you can use anything else. But it's really a good point to start. And so with this we will restrict our discussion to the researchers who are trying to use ChatGPT to kind of create a research paper. First to brainstorm the idea, and thereafter they try to figure out some kind of relevant papers, and in a position where they are willing to get some kind of outline for it. Now, in the next part, what I will try to show that how ChatGPT could be useful for us in various kind of activities where it might be an isolated activity, but it is very helpful for most of the researchers who definitely tries to do that part manual way. So one such activity could be like working with references that we see around. For example, in a certain certain libraries, we find that the references are in various format. It could be like in APA or BibTeX format, and the kind of work that we are doing, we need the opposite referencing format from where it is not available in the source websites. So let us try to consider a situation where the present slide, the text with the red color, so it happens to be in a APA format, but we want it to be in a bibliographic, the BibTeX format for use in our, let's say, it could be in our thesis, or it could be in the research article that we are writing. So one thing could be like we can use it we know the tags for the BibTech, we can manually do it, but we can take help of ChatGPT, which instantly does this for us. For example, if I try to write convert in BibTech, and then I give the APA format of the references, the output that is being given to us, the chat gpt gives us output in this particular format. So as we all know that no in the latex, we need to copy this file in the .bib file, and whenever we are going to use this particular article, we'll be using the term which is yang 2013 lecture. So it really helps a lot. No, it saves a lot of time for manually translating the bibliographic formats from one versions of one format to another, and this could be one of the potential areas which saves a lot of time. I mean, for especially for me, I think I got a lot of help using chat gpt to convert one format to the other, and it is equally working for the other format also. Like, given this particular format, we can get the other format, like the one in the red text here, right? So this is something that could be done with chat gpt. And finally, we will talk about some of the do's and don'ts with chat gpt, and after this I'll try to show a demo of chat gpt for some of the areas that we have talked about. So to start with the do's with ChatGPT, it should be whatever we are asking to ChatGPT, it should be clear and specific. Like the questions that we are trying to ask to ChatGPT, it should be clear and it should be unambiguous, because otherwise the reply that we are getting won't be that much useful to us. So always try to use clear statements uh, to the possible, and short statements, because when it becomes long, it becomes very difficult for chat gpt to understand the real questions that, or the real query that we are trying to pose. The second thing will be to provide the context, because sometimes without context it gives the reply which may not be appropriate to the one that we are trying to ask. For example, let's say that we were saying no video content analysis, but if you don't say whether we are looking out for deep learning or machine learning, it would end up giving us something mixed, and which we might not be interested, right? The other thing could be like we should ask open-ended questions. Like for open-ended questions should be something like which are merely more than something yes or no. So of course we can use chat gpt for experimental purpose. Like this happens to be most of the terms which are not related to research, but some kind of artistic or some kind of pastime information that we can do. So we can ask ChatGPT a hell lot of questions. It could come up with some kind of unique answers which really feels good to us. And finally, what we should avoid doing chat gpts, like we should we see that whenever some information comes out, the cutoff date for chat gpt's training data is January 2022. So anything and every information that we are trying to retrieve which happens to be after this period, that is not available with chat gpt of the version 3.5, which is free. But there is a paid version which might have those things. We'll come to that when we are working on the live prompt of ChatGPT. Also, we can't expect personalized information, like try to avoid sharing sensitive personal information to chat gpt, because it does not has the ability to remember past interactions, although it remembers several iterations of an instructions, but it won't remember the interactions all of a sudden, right? uh, it does not get the real world actions. ChatGPT does not have the capability to perform physical actions, like so we should avoid asking doing things like making phone calls or sending emails. Of course, but this is, there are certain plugins that are available with some of the prominent web browsers like Chrome, which can do this to a certain amount of context. Like we can use some kind of plugins in Chat GPT, and it can give us a summary of a lengthy document. So that is essentially possible with Chat GPT, and we'll try to see that. Of course, ethical issues are always there with any kind of tools, any kind of thing that we do. So we should refrain from using chat gpt to generate any kind of content that is harmful, that might be unethical, or it violates any terms of service. And yeah, we should not depend solely on ChatGPT for critical decisions, as I have already said in the beginning of this talk itself, that we can use ChatGPT for some kind of aid for and research. Yeah, we can use it for some kind of aid for in research, but it cannot replace the hard work that a researcher or that a person does, and we should not expect that it is going to replace the hard work that is required for doing some kind of research. And yeah, chat gpt is a machine. We should always remember that it's a machine learning model, and it does not have any kind of emotional or personal experiences, so would use it from that point of view. Yeah, so at this point, I would like to also introduce about utility called Google Bird, which is basically an attempt from the Google itself to take over, to compete with Bird. It is also a conversational AI chatbot developed by Google, but it's still under development, and we can access it from our existing Gmail IDs. And yeah, we'll try to see certain areas where bird gives us some kind of information, some kind of results, in contrast where chat gpt is unable to give us something. So I'll just minimize this slide, and I'll come back to it once I finish the demo part of it. So right now I'll be sharing my web browser, and I'll try to I'll try to show you some the interface of the chat GPT. So if I can get a quick reply from someone of you, are you able to see the web browser where I have opened chatgpt.openai.com?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, so this happens to be the interface of ChatGPT, and we need to register it once before using it. So, as we can see on the left hand side, we have certain options here. Now, disable this area where we are not enabling any kind of chat history. we have an option to get the language model which is available to us is ChatGPT 3.5. And as we see that if we try to use the pro version, the plus version, which happens to be ChatGPT 4, it is paid as of now. Okay, so all the settings we can get it from here. We click on this area where the name and details are there. We can go to the customization. We can go to this settings area and we can do some kind of theme change, some data related, some if we want some kind of history we can click it here. If we don't want, go to settings and we will close it. So this is the area where we can writing the content, start writing our queries. For example, let's say, you know, for example, I'll try to show you some where Chat GPT does not function. For example, let's say I want to get uh, give me recent cyber attack in India. So So we'll see that it is saying that as of January 22, I don't have specific information about the most recent cyber attack in India because this is something that it does not know. But I would like to bring here the uh, output of Bing, our bird. Okay. So here, let me just try to give the same uh, query that we had given here. I'll copy it here. Maybe I'll paste it here. And let us see what output it is showing. So here we see that although Google is in its experimental stage as it's showing, so it's trying to give us some kind of output. Like in October 2023, some incident has happened at Ames Delhi server, and September 2023 certain things. So it is coming up with some kind of incidents as well as some kind of some suggestions which could be followed to prevent the attacks. Also, if you just see, there are certain drafts of output that we can choose in case of bird. So the way that the output comes out, we can also choose that. So yeah, so this is something that we see around. So the idea to give this information first was the reason might be that ChatGPT might give us correct results or accurate results in the version which happens to be the pro version. Other than that, we can start around with what we had already done. I will like to show that we were trying to get some areas of research which were related with some emerging areas. Yeah, we were trying to, let me just copy that term so that I can show you the correct exact output. So suggest emerging area of research in the area of video content analysis using deep learning. So if I give that, you can see. So the output that we had seen in the PowerPoint presentation was essentially half of it, and the other half you can see around. Right? So after this, so we see here that we get at around 10 different topics, and if we, let's say, try to see what is more on this particular area, so we can just dig a deep into this, which gives us some more understanding of this particular topic. And once we understand the topic that we had mentioned, we can ask ChatGPT to suggest, let's say, top 5 research articles in the area. This. So the same thing you can, I mean, we can copy around this thing, this part which does not, find some relevant that we are looking for. We can use the BART and find out how this is reacting. So we find that there are certain outputs that are being shown to us in Google, but which happens to be much more relevant to us than that we are trying to achieve. Also, we can use some kind of plugin in Google Chrome, which ChatGPT helps us for getting. For example, let's say we are in a website. We want to know about uh, attention mechanism in computer vision, let's say, and we land up to some document which is, let's say, this one. So we see that this is a very long article, and if we would try to summarize this document, we have some utility, or this is an extension of ChatGPT called ChatGPT Summary for Chrome. So when we click on it, it comes to it provides a summary of the document, of the text that is available to us in the browser. So whenever we are in some websites where a lot of information are there and we need to summary, we need to just keep an eye whether this will be worth to spend time. We can use this summary with ChatGPT, which is available as a plugin. We can install the plugin first and then we can start using it, right? So these are some of the areas where there are other areas also. I mean, if I ask ChatGPT which will be relevant to someone which is from computer science, and they might already know it, but in case if you don't know, let's say we want to have we ask ChatGPT to write a TCP IP socket program uh, in C for client and server. So it essentially takes up the prompt, and you'll find that it gives us the code in seconds. So I mean, it helps those who are from the computing background. They can start taking the skeleton code, and maybe they can work on it to make some kind of chatting software or messaging apps. So yeah, ChatGPT is useful, but yeah, there are certain restrictions in the free version. When we go to the pro version, it gives a certain more flexible, certain more advantages to us. So I'll now switch back to my presentation. Yeah, and maybe I'll come down to the section where I have left. Yeah, so there could be certain other things like, why always about research? You can ask ChatGPT to tell a motivational story, or it could be, Google Bird, as you can see. So, it comes out with very nice motivational stories. You can ask ChatGPT or Google Bird to tell you a joke or humor. So that is also essentially possible with ChatGPT. So with this, I now open the forum for any kind of questions which I could take up. Yeah,
Yes,
if
if from the participant, if there is any question, you may ask. I think there is no question.
okay. Yeah, in the
Okay.
chat, I found there is someone Asif Iqbal Shah. So yeah, you have asked about can we use ChatGPT for correcting grammatical errors or remove ambiguity in language of our research articles? ChatGPT is not the exact tool for that. I mean, Grammarly is something which can does, but again, it is not built for that. You can do it, but it's not advisable to do that for it. Everything has got its specific application. You can try it out. It might give you the correct thing, but it is not advisable to use ChatGPT for certain things. Right? I hope this answers your query. Yeah, over to you, Dr. Pal.
Yes, exactly. So even I request all the participants, even if they have any queries, they may post us, which we can forward them to the speaker. So thank you very much, sir, for giving your valuable time and sharing your expertise with us and all the participants. I'm sure all of them have been enlightened and been felicitated with the significance of the chat GPT. And even it's an emerging tool which is familiar to all of us. And I'm pretty much sure that it has been strengthened their knowledge. So thank you once again for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me here, and I look forward for such sessions. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm also open. If anyone is having any queries or any suggestions, please feel free to drop a mail at abhijit.debnath@rru.ac.in. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir.